Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Tuesday, July the 26th. The year's 2022. Let's talk trading. What you cannot control. Part 2 with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and from Walmal. Walmal is usually the fastest 15 minutes of trading. Got us. We're talking about what you can't control, but one thing you can control is risk management. You don't have to lose any more on any one particular trade than you're willing to lose. So, where did we leave off yesterday?
Basically, it's funny because it lended itself very closely to what we were talking about last week with having limits, and the reality is that, it's a safety thing because when we set limits, it allows us to not control what we can't control, but it'll basically go and prevent us from being hurt by what we can't control. And that's the important thing about trading. I think that's the most important thing there is about trading, is making sure that you've got things in place so that you don't get hurt and not worry. And then the second part of that is not worrying about the things that you can't control, because you got things in place that will go and help you and prevent you from getting hurt. And that, for me anyway, that's the key to trading. I've said this, a bunch of times on videos and to fellow traders, and I know even to you, Tara, I'll probably say it to you almost every day. You probably want to say, "Shut up, you're being a broken record." But I really don't care about your method of trading. I really don't care. I think that just about every method of trading that's out there, obviously not everything, but for the most part, just about everything, if it's got some merit behind it, it will work as long as you're setting limits out there so that the things that are uncontrollable are at least limited in the damage that they can cause you. And then at the same time, there's another way of looking at it. There are things that you can't control that can work in your favor as well. I mean, I've taken only 2 trades all day, and I've more than made what I need to make for the day. Why? Because I'll put it right out there. I got lucky. I took a trade right around 2000. Earlier last hour, it had gone up above the 2000 to 1.2000, and it's got up there, and I said, okay, this is a good place for a short. My method told me this is a good place to short. I went and took the short, and it ran all the way down to like 75 or something like that. And so that was, it was like a 25 pip run on one trade. Not bad for one trade. For me, that's definitely an unusual thing, because usually most of my trades I'm picking up 1-2 pips. But because of the way it went down, it was a nice, smooth way down. I followed all my rules. I didn't break any rules, and I was able to go and take advantage of that, which is nice. And so that, again, I didn't control it going and dropping the way it did. The only thing I did was I went and took the trade because I saw the trade, according to my method. And then the second thing I did was, the second thing I was able to control is I stayed in the trade and followed my rules. That's all I did. I don't take any credit for anything else. And it worked out very well for me. Could have gone the other way. It very easily can go can go the other way. And the difference is, if you got, you mentioned it already, Tiro, in the beginning of the video, and that is that if you put things in place, you can go and protect yourself so that you don't take a loss. I mean, you said the only thing you can do is you can go and prevent yourself from losing more than you're willing to lose on any one particular trade.
Yeah, that's probably the one of the biggest things you can control in trading.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right. And the other thing that you can control, is, and it takes time to do this, and it's probably one of the hardest things to control, but you can go and control how you react to things that you see in the market. And that's where it gets tough, because, I talk about psychology a lot, I know, but, I don't get into behavior modification and all that type of stuff that happens, especially in a lot of pop psychology. But the reality is, you need to be able to control what you're going to do when things go in your direction, and control things when they don't go in your direction. How do you go and control what your behavior is going to be in those situations?
That's an interesting question. I think what you have to
Well,
do is, let's say you realize you have a behavior that you don't want to repeat. So first thing is recognizing that you have a behavior that you don't want to repeat. Then you have to figure out what is the trigger that causes you to do that behavior. And then it's like you either eliminate the trigger or you have to work on changing your reaction to the trigger.
exactly. It's sort of like, bringing this into the psychology world, or let's say you have an addiction to a particular substance that wouldn't be good for you to have an addiction to. One of the things that they tell you to do is, one, go and put yourself in a position where you're not around whatever triggers you to go and do whatever causes that addiction to flare up. And then number two, they always tell you, put yourself in the presence of people who will keep you strong. So that even if you get a pop-up trigger, you've got somebody that's there that can go and keep you strong, someone who you respect, someone who you can go and rely upon. And I don't see trading really being all that different in that respect. It's sort of like, okay, I know when I see this type of event happening, this is when I want to go and make a lot of mistakes. Now the question is, you got to do the hard work. What's putting you in that position that you're sitting there and seeing that time in and time again? It's causing you trouble. Is it because the method that you're using is causing that, and you're just not equipped to deal with it, or is it because your method may just be, I hate to say it, flawed? Or is it because there's something deeper rooted in your personality, that needs to be dealt with? And I don't have a problem with telling people, if there's something in your personality that's deep, that is, I don't want to say that you're flawed, but you have something in your personality that just doesn't allow you to go and do what you should do under certain circumstances, and it becomes detrimental in your trading. Well, I don't have a problem telling people, well, maybe trading is not the life for you. I mean, I'm going to be flatter I put it out there. There are people out there, there are people out there who are great policemen and have no problem running, into the line of fire, or great firemen who have no problem running into a fire. I don't want a fireman who's afraid of fire, afraid to get in there. Now, I don't want somebody who's so careless about it that they get themselves into trouble. But at the same time, I want somebody who's got the fortitude in their constitution to be able to go and run into the face of danger. That's who I want to be there, because that may be me, or maybe my child or grandchild that's sitting up there in that third or fourth floor in the middle of a fire, and I can't get to them. And I want the person who's well enough in the head, strong enough physically, trained well enough to be able to go up those stairs and go and get my baby out.
Right. I put up the 1 minute chart because we had a break of the previous H1, then we had a break of the Walmal line, and then price just pulled back. Then it shot up, and then it just pulled back again. And it's just one of the things where, we always talk about, for the most part, we look to take a couple of pips. But if you notice here, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes for price, when it can't hit that double O, to move up. And then it took, let's see, 3, 6, 7 minutes to come back down. So you have to have the discipline to sit in the trade if you want the bigger profits, because you can't control how fast the market moves.
You're exactly right. And, I sat in that trade earlier, about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, I sat in that trade for what for me was an infinite. It seemed like an infinite amount of time, but I did that because what I was doing was I was seeing that, hey, this is not pulling back. It's moving down, it's moving down, moving down, but it's not going back up. Or if it does back up, I get a 1 minute candle, it moves up a little bit, it turns around, comes right back down again. I had enough pips already that I'd earned. I was moving my stops to go and protect myself so I didn't have to worry about it going against me and turning a great winning trade into a loser. So I was comfortable doing that. Although, to be honest with you, it was outside my comfort zone to do that because, for the most part, I'm in a trade in 1-2 minutes.
Yeah, hey, tell the boys and girls and non-binary traders how you moved your stop up, how far away, or how much wiggle room you were giving it.
What I was doing is I was moving it so that I was the very first stop that I moved it so I was guaranteed of getting, I think, 3 pips. Then I moved it to 5 pips, then 7, then 10. And once it was at 10, I just left it at 10. And then I made the decision when it got down to the bottom and I saw it waffle down at the bottom. That's when I said, okay, we're going back and forth down here. Okay, I'm just out. So I wound up getting I think 25 pips on it. So while it was waffling down there, it's like, okay, this is a decision point. We haven't seen this yet. Every other time it just may drop. Okay, we're just out. And that's. Was there really a plan to it? No, other than the fact that I was just ensuring I was managing my money. I was willing to go and make sure that I always made a certain amount of money. So in the beginning of the trade, I was just looking to go and make, what I typically make. And once I had that locked in, I just locked that in so I wouldn't lose that and then let it go. And then, we've been talking about.
Well, I guess though, well, one thing, let me just get the rest of the answer. So when you locked in your +2 or +3, how far away from the current price were you? Was it 3 pips, 5 pips?
I was probably about 5 or 7 pips, if I don't recall, but probably somewhere around 5 or 7 pips would be my guess.
Okay.
And it's just, normally, what I normally would have done was, if I was 5 to 7 pips, normally I would just punch out. But I just didn't see this morning. I didn't see a reason to do that, so I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Part of it was because that happened in the very beginning of the hour. At that point in time during the day, we had nothing but 30-minute candles going down, nothing but hourly candles going down. So my bias was certainly short. It just made sense to go and do it from my perspective. We had a day yesterday where it was an up day for the pound, and I was looking at it from the perspective that I was thinking that, because we now got a down day, we're going to go and cover yesterday's up, which we did, and so I had all those little things going off in the back of my mind when I was making those decisions.
Right. Okay. And just for the traders out there, you can see the pound has a master candle here, that big 9 pip 1 minute bar that happened 6 minutes ago. And then we have 3 inside bars in a row, and you can see it right now. It's waffling. So it's either going to do a break to the upside or a break to the downside. So get ready to place your bets. Oh, and one other thing, one other thing I'll bring up. If you can see, look here at the smart range here. We've got an M1 average range over the last 100 bars of 4. Okay. Now you can see here, there's a few above 4 and a few below 4. Well, I know from frequency distribution that those ranges, it's usually about 2. Anything over 2 is an anomaly, and that's why I don't like to use the average. And guess what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is up once again. I guess we'll continue this tomorrow. So remember, fellow traders, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.